So you wanna know how much it costs to live in New Bern, North Carolina? Well, that's what we're covering in this video, and we're getting started right now. What's up, everyone? This is Ray Copeland with Palms Realty right here in New Bern, North Carolina. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about what it's like to work, sleep, eat, live, and play here in New Bern, then hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell icon. That way you'll be reminded every time we drop a new video. So like I said before, we are going to go over everything cost of living for the New Bern, North Carolina area. I have all my notes here to the left, so I'll be looking off there so I can make sure I stay on track. And basically, I'm just gonna cover all of my bills of what we pay. I also have some other things broken down as to what some other people pay that live in a smaller home and do not have any kids like we do, because that does affect bills. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing that I want to briefly discuss is the median income for the New Bern, North Carolina area, which is around $42,000 per year. And then let's go ahead and jump over to utilities, starting with electricity. We are a family of five. It's myself, my wife, and our 3 children. We live in a 2,600 square foot home. And during the summertime, we pay anywhere between $200 to $240. We love to keep our house very cold. And during the winter, it'll fluctuate between $150 to $200. Sometimes it'll go over $200 if it's really cold outside and we keep the heat on for a long time, because our heat is electric. Now, if you're gonna be powering your heat with natural gas or propane, then by all means, during the winter months, your electric bill would be much cheaper. Another example that I have for you is for a family of 2. They live in a 1,200 square foot home. It's just a husband and wife couple. They live in the city limits. So what that means is that their electricity bill, water, sewer, and trash is all combined on one bill. So just be aware of that when I give you these numbers. They told me that during the summer, for all of that, they pay between $225 to $260 during the summer, and they pay between $160 to $185 on average in the wintertime. Moving over to water bill. Water is pretty cheap. It's pretty inexpensive. For us, we pay, and we just pay water now. We don't pay sewer because we have a septic tank where we live. So for water, we average between $20 to $25 per month. Heading over into propane and natural gas. The home that we lived at prior to this, it was a 2,000 square foot home, and it was a fairly new construction home. We had a tankless hot water heater, as well as the heat for the home was all fueled by natural gas. During the summertime, it was really cheap. It was between $30 to $40. And during the winter, it got up between $120 to $130. The house that we live at now is propane. We have propane just for our hot water heater. It's a 120-gallon tank, and it costs us about $330 to fill it up once it gets near empty, and we do that at about twice per year. But just keep in mind, our propane tank here is only for our hot water heater, so if you were going to be fueling other things such as cooking or possibly your heat, obviously you may have to fill that up more frequently, and the cost would go up because of that. Moving on over into internet, I have priced this out for a gig internet. So just know that if you get less than a gig speed, it's gonna be cheaper than this, or it can be cheaper than this, but just go ahead and figure between $50 to $55 per month for 1 gig internet. Trash, if you live in the city limits, like I was talking about our friends earlier, their trash is automatically included in their bill. If not, you can sign up with a third-party trash company, and it is gonna be about $70 per quarter to use their services. And if you don't use a third-party trash company, you can also just go by any local convenience store that sells county trash tickets, and they're $3 per sticker. You just basically, it's 1 ticket for one trash sticker for 1 bag of trash, and it's $3 for each one of those. Moving on over to gas. Obviously, we know gas prices have been all over the place, but at the time of making this video, gas here in New Bern is ranging between $3.15 per gallon to up to $3.30 per gallon. Daycare. Before I tell you the daycare expenses that we pay, I just want to highly recommend that if you know that you're going to be needing daycare when you move to the New Bern area, or if you're planning on having kids, and let's say you're expecting, go ahead and lock in your daycare early. It's in my opinion, it's very vital that you do that, because there's always a waiting list, at least from what we've experienced. There's a waiting list for daycare around here. And so go ahead, lock in your daycare. That way you don't have to worry about that, and you will be prepared. For 3 kids, we pay $340 per week for daycare. If you just have 1 kid, expect to pay $125 to $185 per child. Obviously, the more kids that you have, the better the discount they give, and that's pretty much across the board with any daycare. Moving on over to income tax. North Carolina has a flat 5.25% individual income tax rate. Sales tax is 6.75%. That's the North Carolina state 4.75 plus the 2% for Craven County, which totals out to 6.75% sales tax. Moving on to property taxes. Now, the way I'm going to do this is that property taxes, I'm going to give you the property tax rates, and then going to just give you a couple of property tax examples. So the city of New Bern has a current tax rate of 48 cents per every $100 in value. The county has a tax rate of 55 cents per every $100 in value. And there's also a special downtown New Bern tax rate. So if you live within the downtown New Bern district, there is a 13 cents per every $100 in value tax rate. So with that being said, another quick note is that when it says per every $100 in value, this is value that is done by the county appraiser. So for instance, if you've ever been on usually around here it's called the Craven County GIS, you will see an appraised amount or a value amount. That is done by the county appraiser. So when the county appraises it, that's where they get your property tax value from. So they'll take that appraised amount and then they will apply it to the tax rate that I just read off for every $100 in value. So with that being said, our friends that live in the city, that live in a 1,200 square foot home, for 2021, they paid $724 in county taxes, and they paid $572 in city taxes. So that brings it out right to around $1,300, a little less than $1,300 for the 2021 year. The house that we live in, it is not in the city limits. It is in only the county limits. And for 2021, the county tax rate, and remember this is a 2,600 square foot home, it is $1,458 for the 2021 tax year. Moving on to flood insurance. Now, before we begin with flood insurance, I am not an insurance agent, and I highly recommend that you speak to an insurance agent when it comes to getting flood insurance. You want to make sure that your flood insurance policy is being put together and written correctly. That way, you are protected if anything does happen in the future. So with that being said, I'm just going to briefly mention some flood insurance premiums, some costs that I have seen with doing some transactions this year. This does not mean that this is what it's going to cost. This is just to give you an idea of what I've seen. That way you have a good starting point of what to expect from a cost of living standpoint. Now, I have seen an insurance policy with $250,000 in building coverage and also $100,000 in personal content coverage, and that premium for the year for flood insurance was $2,500. I have also seen that same flood insurance policy with those same coverage amounts for $700 per year. So with that being said, that does not mean you automatically want to go with the cheaper one. What this means is that you want to make sure you speak with an insurance agent. And if you don't know one, please reach out to me. I can refer you to a good insurance agent that works in this area, and he would be more than happy to speak with you in detail about getting a flood insurance policy. Last but certainly not least on the cost of living list is going to be housing. So let's go ahead and jump over into my computer and go over housing from a cost of living standpoint for the New Bern area. Here is the map of New Bern, and this is the housing cost of living map. And what they've done is, and this is from bestplaces.net, but it gives a good visual representation and it kind of helps me explain things as you're also looking along. But they're saying that the US average, let's just say that the median is going to be 100. That's the score for housing cost of living would be the U.S. average would be 100. So anything below 100 is going to be below the national average, and anything above 100 is going to be above the national average. This cost of living map here, a couple things that I want to point out is that obviously the way they have it set is that you can see here the 100 would be this yellowish orangish color right here, and anything darker than this would be above the national average, and anything that's lighter than that color would be below the national average. So a couple of key things that I want to point out is that all of this would be considered New Bern because all of this right here has a New Bern address. So when you shop and you search for homes for sale in New Bern, it's going to list all of these homes right here because all of these would be considered a New Bern home for sale. But there's different pocket areas within New Bern. Just like I'll mention here, there's little towns within New Bern. And so just know that when you're looking at the map of New Bern and although these areas are divided, whether it's a town or whether they have it separated by a community, just know that this encompasses all of New Bern. Here are a couple things that I want to point out is some of the more expensive areas that are actually labeled higher than the national average is the Trent Woods area. This is a very beautiful town. It is a town in itself. It's the town of Trent Woods. It's a very sought out after community and area to live in. Very beautiful homes. You can have you can live on the water in Trent Woods. It actually butts up to the Trent River. And there's also various communities throughout Trent Woods that are very beautiful, very gorgeous homes. Trent Woods has a lot of history. And so Trent Woods is a popular area, and I can understand why it's above the national average when it comes to housing cost of living. Right across the Trent River here, you can see that little white line in between Trent Woods and Bryce's Creek is another beautiful area, and an area that's actually, in my opinion, it's even growing even more, is the Bryce's Creek area. We actually live over here in the Bryce's Creek area, and once again, there are very good areas in the Bryce's Creek area. There are various pocket communities all throughout Bryce's Creek, and a couple of them that stand out to me is there's obviously Hunter's Ridge is over here. You have Oakview is over here. You also have Deer Run community. So there's various pocket communities within Bryce's Creek, and I'm not gonna be able to mention all of them. There's just a few of them that popped up top of my head. And so as you can see here, here's the town of River Bend. It's its own separate town, just like Trent Woods. And I would say they have River Bend marked. It's right at around the national average. I think it could be a little below or a little above that too, depending on which area within River Bend that you live in. And River Bend has a good variety of different types of homes. You know, there are townhomes in there, there are single family homes, there's condos in there. So a good mix of different types of homes. Couple things I want to mention out. Here's Fairfield Harbor, which is across the Neuse River right here. Fairfield Harbor is a beautiful community. It's a waterfront community, so there are plenty of waterfront homes. A lot of Fairfield Harbor is in a flood zone, just so you know that. Fairfield Harbor got hit pretty hard in 2018 with Hurricane Florence, but since then, knock on wood, nothing else has happened since then, and they have come back in a tremendous way. Fairfield Harbor is a very popular community. I've sold a handful of homes this year to some clients. So if that's what you're looking for, I highly recommend that you check out Fairfield Harbor. It's actually the only truly gated community in our area, in the New Bern area. So if that's something that is of interest to you, check out Fairfield Harbor. This James City area over here, although it's colored below the national average of cost of living for housing, I just want to mention here that there are some pocket communities in the James City area. For instance, you got Taberna and you have Carolina Colors. These are pocket areas that, in my opinion, they would be high. They would be either right at the national average, or in my opinion, I think they're going to be above the national average with home prices. So just know that even here up in this New Bern area, there are going to be pocket communities within this New Bern area. Like if you're wanting to live in the downtown area where home prices are very high, that's going to be higher than the national average. So just know that even though this shade of color is below the national average that there are going to be still pocket communities in that area that the home prices are going to be above the national average. So let me go and switch back over to my camera. So there you go. There is cost of living for the New Bern, North Carolina area. I know that I probably wasn't able to cover everything or probably answer all of your questions, but I hope this is a good start for you. I hope I did answer some of the questions that you do have. Listen, if you have any more questions about researching New Bern, North Carolina, possibly an area that you're looking to relocate to, we would love to help you. And the only way we can truly help you is if you reach out to us. So pick up the phone, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, days, nights, weekend. We have your back when relocating here to New Bern, North Carolina. Schedule a Zoom call with us. There is a link in the description of this video where you can schedule a Zoom call with myself, and we can start building some synergy in your home search process. We would love to help you. Thank you for watching this video. If you got value from it, smash that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm and it helps spread the video around so other people can see it as well. And until our next video, I hope everyone has an awesome day. See you later.